All right, good evening and welcome to this Motzei Shabbos edition of Iyun with Benzion. Mishenichnas Adar Marbin B'Simcha. I said Kiddush Levana tonight, so it officially is Adar now. Now we can start having a good time. I have my favorite champagne in over here. This is champagne from 1654. Tastes good. It was worth every bit of the $10 million I spent on it. No, you can see over here. Let's see. It's not like champagne. It looks like coffee. It's not even Taster's Choice. It's the Israeli brand. So I'm really living it up over here. All right, we got a great Iyun from the Benzion today. Short daf today. Daf Lamed Gimel. In fact, there's no Amud Beis. Actual. There's no words on Amud Beis. I want to discuss really. It starts in the Mishnah on Lamed Beis, where the Mishnah says at the end of the Mishnah, he's making a Nazirus dependent. He's accepting the Nazirus on a contingency, whether this person coming towards him is a certain person or not. So he makes a Nazirus dependent on that. And the person who's coming towards them, instead of coming towards them, he decides to take a U-turn and he runs away. And you were never able to figure out if that's a person or not. I say, I am becoming Nazir, this guy is Donald Trump. And you don't know if it's actually Donald Trump or it's a guy who's wearing a mask, Donald Trump. He was wearing one of those masks, those perm masks that look like Donald Trump. I actually have a funny video coming out soon. But I did this to a person at a wedding. I met Donald Trump, not the real Donald Trump, the guy wearing a mask. I interviewed him. He was wearing a strommel also. So you don't know if it's a real Donald Trump or not. And so the halacha is, according to the anonymous opinion of the Mishnah, that you're not a Nazir. You're not a Nazir. Rabbi Shimon says at the end of the Mishnah, Yomar dvarai harei Nazir. If this person actually was Donald Trump, then I'm a Nazir chova. I'm an obligatory Nazir because I was right. Like Beis Hillel holds that if your contingency comes true, it works. It's a Nazir. If it wasn't Donald Trump, harei Nazir nadava. I'm accepting a Nazirus out of free will. I'm going to become a Nazir now. I pledge a new Nazirus now. Now, the Gemara explains that these two opinions of the Tanna Kama and Rabbi Shimon is really a machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, which is quoted on Lamed Aleph and Aleph, also quoted earlier in Maseches Nazir and also in Maseches Nadarim, I think, believe on Daf Yud Ches. The Gemara has a machlokes, famous brisa. Person takes an Nazirus, stipulating that he believes I'm a Nazir if there's 100 core, a certain measurement, a lot of grain. He's going to go measure how much grain is in the pile, and before he gets a chance to measure it, it's stolen or it's lost. So what do? You have no idea if there's 100 core or not. So Rabbi Yehuda says he's matir. He says you're not a Nazir. And the Gemara Nadarim explains, if it's a suffix, right? If it's not going to be able to be determined, he's not going to become a Nazir. He only becomes a Nazir if it's a vada, if it's a surety, if he can measure it and he can determine 100% there's 100 core. Rabbi Shimon says a person enters his self into the Nazirus in a makom of suffix, in a place of doubt, and therefore he says, his lashon in the brisa, he says, Rabbi Shimon Oser. Until now, we've assumed that means he's a Nazir Vada. He's a Nazir, right? There's different ways of explaining Ma'al and Nish Nafsha Sfeika. It could be, the explanation is that even if it's a Safek, he had in mind to Vada become a Nazir. Or maybe it's a more simpler explanation. Safek Deraisa L'chumra, right? It's Safek. So it's a regular din. Rabbi Yehuda holds, when it comes to Naziras, people don't plan taking Naziras Makom Safek. Shimon says, in a makom suffix, people enter themselves into a suffix, and therefore it is a suffix. And because the Nazirus is a Doraisa, suffix Doraisa L'chumra, so therefore Oser, you're Oser, right? So therefore you're not a Vadai Nazir, you're a Nazir. So the question is, right, at the end of the Mishnah, which is the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, on the end of Lamed Beis and Beis, Rabbi Shimon says, we don't know if this person was Donald Trump or not, right? If it was like my words, then I'm obligatory Nazir. If not, then I'm accepting a new Nazirus now. Why does he have to say this? Why does he make a statement? Right? He doesn't make any statement at all. He's a Oser. He's a Vadai Nazir. Something I said l'chumra. The answer to this question is pretty basic, and we've said this many different times, that I've explained that the concept of Safek Daraisa L'chumra takes on two different forms. If it's Ischazig Yisura, right, like the case where you have two pieces of meat. You have one piece of meat that's regular kosher meat and one piece of meat that's chaylev, right? And you're not sure which piece of meat. You took one piece to eat, you're not sure which one it was. So you bring an asham taloi, right? You're allowed to bring a korban, asham taloi, right? Which is a suffix whether you chayv a chatas or not. It's called an asham taloi. It's del raisa. And obviously it's an isra bring chul nazara. So it's not chul nazara. Suffix del raisa, l'chomer midal raisa. The Rambam writes midal raisa, right? If you're not sure, you bring asham taloi. However, if there's only one piece of meat, we're not sure even if there was ever a piece of chaylev there, someone told you there might be chayla over there, might not be chayla, might be kosher meat. It's not ischasik isur. There's no presence for sure. There was Israel over here. So in that case, the Rambam would say we don't bring an asham tol in that case, even though Savik Raisa L'Chumra still applies. But in that case, Savik Raisa L'Chumra is derabanan. It's Machlokes Rishonim whether Savik Raisa L'Chumra is deraisa or derabanan. The fact that we go L'Chumra, is that it didn't from the Torah or is that in the Rabbanan? So I'm explaining that really both are true. If it is chazik isura, if there's definitely an isra over here, you're just not sure whether you violated the isra, so then it's deraisa. If you're not sure it's over here, then it's derabanan. And we learn at different psukim. We'll have to explain that more as we go through Shas. The different makoros of two different makoros of Savik Deraisa L'Chumra, Mesachas Kedusha, and the Mesachas Shushan talks about this by Safek Mamzer. So here in the case, what's the case? He says, I'm going to become a Nazir if this is Donald Trump. There's only one person over here. We don't know if it's Donald Trump or not. So you can't say it's Chazak Isura over here because it might not be Donald Trump. It's like comparable to a case of one piece of meat. We're not sure if the meat is chayler, or the meat is shuma, is kosher meat or not kosher meat. It's though it's Chazak Isura. So therefore, the king of somebody Raisa L'Chumra over here, according to Rabbi Shimon, it's only the Rabbanan. This is only the Rabbanan, right? So in the Brayso, Rabbi Shimon says he's Oser. He says you have to adopt Nazirus misafik. Somebody Raisa L'Chumra, the Rabbanan though. Therefore, you can't drink wine. You can't be Tam Mason. You can't cut your hair for 30 days. If it's a Tam Nazir, it's 30 days. Because, right, you have to be observed the Rabbanan. But the problem is, by Nazirus, is that you got to bring karbonos at the end, right? You got to bring 3 karbonos. If you complete a Batara, you have to bring a chatas, an ol, and a shlamim. And if you're not mechuyev d'oraisa in the Nazirus, so you bring the chul nazara. That's why in our Mishnah, Shimon has to say, right, even though, because it's not his chasik yisur, it's only something that is l'chumra midarabanan, so therefore he has to say, he tells you what to do in such a case, that you should say, if it really was Donald Trump, I was right about Nazirus, then I'm a Nazir, right? And then I'm a Nazir, and I'm obligated to bring the korbanos then. And if not, right, it's possible I wasn't, I'm still going to accept the Nazirus now, and therefore I'm going to be obligated to bring those korbanos to the end, and it won't be a problem with chul nazara. So that's why Rav Shimon, what he says in this Mishnah is very necessary to understand this brisa, because according to Rav Shimon, you might think from the Gemara Nedarim, he's a vaday nazir midoraisa. From here we learn Rav Shimon didn't hold doraisa; it's only the Rabbanan, and therefore we see in our Mishnah at the end of Laman Beis and Beis that you have to make the stipulation and take a Naziris Nadava in case you were actually not a Nazir. Hope you enjoyed tonight's share. See you in the next one.